Hi, this is Pastor Charlie Avila, and in this video teaching I'm going to show you how to use the Roland digital recorder. It's a Wave and MP3 audio recorder, and I'm going to show you how to use that software and edit the MP3 files that we're going to use to upload to our website. So first of all, I just want to let you know that when we bought this software, we got it from this company here called NCH Software. They're an Australian company, and we bought the WavePad audio editor, and they also have the WavePad video editor, which we're going to do a training session on here in the next video. But this is where we purchased this software. We downloaded it directly from their website. We did not have to buy any CDs or anything like that. So they have it right here. You can see WavePad audio editor. You can download it, and at the time that we did this video recording, it was about $70. They are an Australian company. The software is very easy to use and very powerful. So again, the program we purchased from NCH Software is called the WavePad audio editor. Okay, so in order to begin to use it, I'm going to show you how to, again from the past video, we have the Roland, the R05 audio recorder, and if you remember here on the back side, it has the SD card in the back that you can pop out, and this is what we're going to take out whenever we record a message on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Sunday mornings. We take out this chip and we put it into our computer. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I have a training chip that I created for training purposes. So when you slide it into the SD card slot on your laptop or on your desktop, if you have a desktop, it should have it on the front face, and you can slip it in there, and it'll bring up this autoplay here, and all you have to do is click on the open folder to view files option. So I'm going to click on that. When you use the Explorer in Windows, you can sort by name order or date order, and the way I have mine set up on my computer, because of the way I use the different chips and USB flash drives and so on, I always have it set up so that it sorts it by date order. That way I can have the latest files up at the top. But if you just click on this top name here, it'll sort it in alphabetical order. If you click it again, it sorts it in reverse alphabetical order. And I like to have it by date modified, because it puts the older files at the bottom, it puts the newest files across the top. You're going to notice one of the naming conventions, and I use this deliberately in this training video. Let's just switch it to this. For example, if you look at this file here of a message that I preached on Sunday morning, it's called Bad Company Corrupts Good Character. This is the way we're naming the files when we upload them. We put the title of the file here with a dash and then the word audio, because when we put the video version up on the website, we put a dash video with the same title. You'll also notice that when we do a series of messages, for example, when we did this series of messages on the Sermon on the Mount, we number them this way: Sermon on the Mount 01, 02s, all the way down through to however many messages we had. In this case, we had 14 messages. You always want to put the 01 and 02 there, because if not, the way the file naming works in Windows is it'll put it after the the 10 and the 11 if you don't put a 0 here. So you always have to use a 0 in the front of the numbers in order for it to sort properly, so that the 1, 2, and 3s, the single digits, stay up here, and when you start getting into double digits, they are properly sequenced. Okay, but this is kind of the order that we do for sermon series. We put the title with the number, sequence, and dash audio, and that's the way we do it for series, and that's the way I like to do a lot of our teaching, is in series of messages. So I'm going to sort it by the date modified, and I'm going to use 2 sample files here. When the Roland digital recorder creates a new audio file as it's being recorded, it's going to first put R05, that's the model number of the digital recorder. It's going to have an underscore, and then it's going to automatically give it the next sequence number. It knows to do that. It knows the last time you used it and what number it used. So in this case, we have 2 files. One is R05 underscore 053 and 054. We're going to be working with both of these files in WavePad. But what we want to do is, before we take the chip and put it back into the digital recorder, we want to edit these numbers, because these numbers mean nothing. You don't know what this message is about with these numbers. But when you give it a title like this one, Bad Company Corrupts Good Character, or Sermon on the Mount 13, you'll know what the that particular file is about. So what I want to do is, we're going to click on it once, click on it twice, and then you can modify it. And just for our training purposes, I'm going to call it Sermon 01, and then I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to click once, and I'm going to click twice, and then I'm going to call this one Sermon 02. In just a moment, I'm going to show you how to add the extension dash audio. Right now, we're just going to work with these 2 files, edit them, and then we're going to add the dash audio extension so we can upload them to the website. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and launch sermon number 1. I'm just going to double click on it, and you'll notice it's going to load it onto the computer. It just takes a few seconds, and there it is. In order to open another file, all you have to do is click this button here where it has this little file folder, and you can open it up with Open File, or you can also click over here where it says File and hit Open File. Alright, so we're going to open the other file, and the other one is Sermon 2, so I'm going to double click that one, and it's going to open that file as well. The reason I'm working with 2 files is I wanted to show you that you can work with multiple files in WavePad. You can open up as many files as you want. So you'll notice they're here cascaded one on top of the other. And so when you want to look at one, you can click there. And when you want to look at the next one, you can click there and puts it in the front. You can move it around. And if you'll look down here on this bottom section, it has Sermon 1, Sermon 2 right now. The Sermon 2 is highlighted because that's the one that's in front. It says right here Sermon 2, and it has Sermon 2 there. And if you click over here on this one, it switches over to a highlight here. So you can click here at the bottom, back and forth, or you can click here on the actual screen and move back and forth between these 2. Okay, for this training session, we're going to look at sermon number 1. I'm going to hit this maximize button here on the corner. I'm just going to click it, maximize it, and there we have our message. What I'm going to do for most of this training session is I'm going to show you how to use this bottom half, because this is where all the main information you're going to need is going to be along the bottom. There are, of course, files and commands that you can use up here, but we're not really going to use too many of those. Most of the work we're going to do is going to be down here. One of the first things you see, of course, is this screen here, and you're looking at a full sermon here. The sermon happens to be 48 minutes and 43 seconds long. You're able to see the whole sermon right across here, and these little vertical lines that you see here are just the voice, the sound, the noise, whatever it was, even if it was clapping or background noise, it'll pick it up. And so you have it right here that you can see the whole message right across here. If you look down here, you'll notice that it's broken up in 2-minute sections, okay? So you have the numbering is every 10 minutes here, but then there's these little bars that go across that have it broken down into every 2 minutes. Whenever you use your mouse and click anywhere, you're going to see this red bar that shows up here, all right? And you can click anywhere and move it around. And as you click, this red bar is going to be in a certain position. And if you look down here, this little big button here that has the, it's going to give you your current file position. It shows you that you just clicked on the 34-minute, 0-second, 0.275 point of the audio file. So again, anywhere you click, it moves and it gives you the number right here. It also tells you down here the start and the end. The same number that's here also shows up here. And I'm going to show you in just a minute how these change. If you look over here on the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to see that these little buttons are all the same buttons that you would normally see on an audio, a DVD player, a CD player, just different types of electronic devices that you use to play videos or audio on. So you're going to have the play, the record is the red button, the stop, the where you can go all the way to the beginning of the file, and then the other button goes to the end of the file, and you can use the home or the end keys on your keyboard to get there. Has a rewind and a fast forward button here, as you would normally see on a DVD player or a CD player. Over here on this side, you're going to see these decibel levels, and as we play the audio file here, you're going to see these levels, both a left and right stereo level. You're going to see them going back and forth as we play the audio file. Okay, so one of the most important parts and the most useful part of this program is going to be these magnify or zoom in, zoom out buttons that you see over here on this right side, okay? So for example, if I wanted to zoom in at this particular point, just say I knew at 1435 I wanted, for some reason I wanted to zoom into that. When I click over here on this plus magnify, there's a little magnify icon here. When I click on it, it starts zooming in to that particular spot, the 14-minute, 35-second spot, and it blows it up for me so I can get really close. And so this is the audio file here of somebody speaking here. In this case, it was me teaching a message. And so I'm zoomed in. Now, if you look on the top, there's all these, the whole audio file is, again, you can see it up here in this little strip that's about 1 inch high. If you look at this strip, you'll notice that the little red line is in there just as it is here, and you'll see a light colored, in my case it's set up to be a light blue color right there, you can see it. And the more I zoom out, you'll notice that this blue shaded area becomes wider, because this blue shaded area is this whole screen right here. And so the more I zoom out, the bigger this gets, and the more zoomed out you are here. So I zoom out again, and this starts getting wider. I zoom out again, and it gets wider. So the beginning and the end here of this blue section here, shaded section, is the same as the beginning and the end of what you're looking at. It happens to be magnified. If you zoom out all the way, you'll notice that this whole thing is shaded with that blue background color. And again, what the software program that you're using for WavePad, it may have a different, like a gray shading or whatever, but it will still zoom in and zoom out. So I want you to see, so I'm going to push plus to zoom in, and you can see how that shrunk down to just this size now, and that's this whole section right here, which happens to be about, oh, maybe a 15 or 16 minute section. I'm going to zoom in closer again, and you can see this is shrinking as this is getting bigger. It's shrinking across the top. So this lets you know that you're just looking at this part of the audio file right here, this whole light blue section, and the beginning is here, and the end is here, just as the same as the beginning is here and the end is here. The red line where you're marked at is right here, and it shows you that it's right here. So if we go to another part, I can click across the top over here, and I can go to the beginning, I can go towards the end over here. And so this shaded area now comes and zooms in right here. You can see this, what's right in here in this whole sermon, that section, it's blown up here. So if I zoom in real close, you can see I can get very, very close, zoom in to just here a few seconds. So this portion right here says 44 minutes, 45 seconds, all the way over to 44 minutes and 55 seconds. So this whole span here is just a little over 10 seconds, and it has a very small little area that's highlighted up here on the top. So you're looking at 10 seconds of this 48-minute audio file. All right? So now let's talk about editing. So when we use this program, one of the things I'm going to zoom all the way out to the beginning. Okay, one of the things that we want to look at is the very beginning of the audio file and the very end of the audio file. Because at the very beginning, sometimes you'll hear the speaker giving some kind of an announcement or an introduction by the pastor for a guest speaker, or he's just maybe praying or something. And maybe that's usually where you want to delete stuff. And also at the end, when people are done and you're closing out a message, or maybe somebody claps and you want to remove that, well, you got to go to the end here. So you can press this go home button here, or go to the end button, and it goes all the way to the end. You can of course click on it with the mouse here and move over here to the beginning and click over here on the end, and then you can start zooming in, and you'll notice it zooms in way to the end of the message. So this is like right at the end of the message. Okay, so let's just say, for example, as you're listening to this, as you're playing this message, you get to the end and you want to just delete this last part here because it was just extraneous noise before you shut off the audio recorder. And in order to highlight what you want to delete, all you have to do is move your mouse over here to where this red bar is, and it turns into a double-headed arrow. You see that? It just switches into a double-headed arrow. You click down and hold down your mouse button, and you can highlight this last little section here where probably people were clapping or something. And it also has it highlighted over here. You can't see it that clearly, but this whole dark blue area that you highlighted is also highlighted up here on the top. If you look down here at the bottom now, it tells you SEL length. That's the selected length. What you selected here, it tells you selected 7 seconds, 0.071 of a length here. And it tells you here that you started at 48 minutes, 36 seconds, and it goes all the way to 48 minutes, 43 seconds, and just a little bit more beyond that. It's very precise, down to the thousandth of a second. So it tells you the start and the end of this blue shaded area here, and it also gives you a specific length of what you're deleting. And right here it tells you where the end point is of your selection. Okay, so when you highlighted it, when you went from here all the way to the end, wherever you stop, it's going to give you the number there. Okay, and so in order to delete this, then all you have to do is click where you want to start, grab it with your right mouse button, slide it all the way across, and then here you'll notice you have a delete key or a cut key, and you can use either one, or you can use the delete button on your keyboard. In this case, for right now, I'm going to delete the using this delete button here. You can also hit Control X to cut for that, and it even tells you as you hover over the cut, it has the wording right there to hit delete cut. You can also copy something. So if you wanted to copy this part here for some reason, copy it, you could then paste it over on another sermon. You can then take it, select where you want to put it, and then hit copy and paste, and it'll paste it between audio files. So if you want to take a message that you've recorded over here and move it into a sermon and put it at the beginning, for example, if you wanted to introduce some kind of message, or you wanted to have some kind of an ending prayer on each of your audio files, you can copy and paste and put whatever you want at the beginning or at the end. I'm just kind of showing you some of the capabilities of this program. All right, so again, let me highlight this last little section. Again, it tells me here I'm highlighting about 7 seconds. It tells me the start and end. I hit the delete button here, and it deletes it. Okay, so it completely went away. A very critical button is this undo button. So if you accidentally delete something, you can always undo it by hitting the undo button. It's this little orange arrow here right next to the save file. You just click it, it'll put it right back into place. Okay, so if you deleted this and you accidentally hit the cut key and that was not what you wanted to do, just do the undo and it'll put it back in for you. If you want to redo it, you can always go back and hit redo, undo. Okay, so once again, I'm going to highlight, hold down the right mouse button. I'm sorry, I've been saying right, I meant the left mouse button to highlight, and you just hit delete and it's done. Again, you can hit copy, paste with different things. So I'm going to zoom back out here. If I click right in here at the 16-minute point, let's just say I knew that was a point where I wanted to delete something out. Okay, I zoom into it, and let's just say I wanted to delete this little section right here. Okay, it's only a little over almost 2 seconds. I can just highlight it, hit click with the cut or with the delete. Once again, I'm clicking, and I meant to say right mouse button, but it's the left mouse button. Highlight it, and I'm going to use cut. And we can delete it. You can always undo it. In this case, I'm going to cut it. If you hit the home key, we'll go way to the beginning. Let me zoom out. This is too close. Okay, you can see here this particular message, the speaker, in this case it was me, I didn't start speaking until about 7 seconds into the message, so all of this here is not being recorded. You can see how flat this is. Just highlight that, hit the delete key, okay, ping, like that, and it deletes it out of the way. I'm zoomed in here, and I can see about 25 seconds of the beginning, and you'll notice that this light blue area, or the shaded area up here across the top, it is showing you how big it is. Now you can notice I can grab it holding down the left key, and I can zoom in to just that portion, and did you notice that this area got bigger? So again, it turns into a double-headed arrow. I can slide it over and zoom in. So I can zoom in using this feature up here, or I can zoom in over here on the bottom, and I can zoom out here as well. All right. Now, if you look over at this file, overall, when I spoke this message, you can see that this was a pretty even message all the way through. But I'm going to look here at this other sermon. Can you see certain spots, like this spot right here, or like right here at the beginning? It was very, very loud. Okay, the spots where you see the really high spikes up and down. There's this middle divide here. The left and the right monitors are being recorded here in stereo. Down here at the bottom tells you it was recorded in stereo. And you can see certain spots where the vertical lines are very low, okay, very, very low. And if you were to get a recording, and let's say you had the Roland digital recorder kind of away from the speaker, then and it didn't record very loud, then these vertical lines would be very low. For example, like this spot right here. I'm going to blow it up. You see how kind of these are not very high up and down? Well, if you go over here where this is really loud and you blow that up, you can see how much black this is and how much darker it is. That tells you it was much louder there. And but if you pull up a recording, and I'm going to go right here to this spot here. If you pull up a recording and all of it is about this high, you can see all this blank area here, and that tells you that it didn't record very loud. Okay, so I'm going to show you, you can take a particular area and amplify the signal. But generally what we want to do is if it records low all the way through the sermon, we want to hit Control A. Okay, that's the thing for all. So we would just, you can click anywhere on there and just hit Control A on your keyboard, and it's going to highlight the whole sermon. Okay, once again, just click anywhere, hit Control A. Or if you wanted to go to the home, and you can see this whole area is highlighted here, so we hit Control A. And up here across the top, we have these tabs. One of them is called Effects. If you click on that, it gives you a whole new set of commands. The one we want to focus on is this one called Amplify. And if the message is really, really low and you need to amplify it a lot, I generally try to stay around 300% gain. So I'm increasing it by 300%. If you just need to be a little bit louder, I generally go down to like, there's a setting here that if you click on these up and down arrows, it'll bring it to you. I'm going to go over to where it says 156. I can also control it by using this bar here, but I'm going to go over to like 150, right around there. That'll give it some extra boost. And once I hit apply right here, it's going to make these vertical lines higher, okay, and it's going to amplify the signal so it can be louder. And you can always check by just going ahead and playing the audio file. And so when you want to play an audio file, all you have to do is hit play here and the stop button, or what I like to do is just hit the space bar. If you hit the space bar, this little red bar is going to be moving as it's playing, and you can see how it's playing here, and you can see the decibel levels, the reading here. I have it set up right now where I don't have any sound because I'm using this monitor with an HDMI connection, so I don't have any sound on it. But if I were to remove the monitor off of here, I could hear the sound being played. And but as you're moving across and you're playing, it shows you the audio signal here. Again, if it's not very loud, you can blow it up. You hit Effects, Amplify, and once you hit Amplify, it'll allow you to increase it. Again, if you need to increase it a lot, go around 300. If you want to increase it, just not too much, but just a moderate level of amplification, you can click on and make it, or you can actually type in the number that you want here. All right. So this software program has an enormous amount of capability. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can split things, you can join things, you can have sections of silence that you can put in and all that. But we don't usually use those kinds of things. We're just trying to get a good signal and good sound quality before we upload these MP3 files onto the website. Okay, so once you come into a file, let's go back to sermon number 1. Once you come into a file, in fact, let's go ahead and close out sermon number 2. And when you have 2 audio files open like this, you can just click over here on the upper right-hand corner, not this X up here, because that closes the whole program, but this one right here below it. It allows you to close the sermon out. And if you had made any changes on that sermon and you hadn't saved it, it will ask you to save it. But as you recall, we did make some changes at the beginning and at the end of this file. So let's go to the end over here. And let's amplify it here by zooming in. Okay, and I'm going to go actually hit the end button and go all the way to the end of the file. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and take this little last section out. I listened to it and I found that I didn't need that. It was just some extraneous noise or people talking. I'm going to delete it. Okay, so now that I'm done, I can just go ahead and if I want, I can just zoom all the way back out. And now my file is 48 minutes and 24 seconds long. I cut out maybe 20 seconds worth of time or so. Rather than hit save file here, we want to rename this sermon to sermon 01. You see that the sermon 01, 02, that thing disappeared because you only have one file open. So this sermon 01, we want to go over here to file, and we want to go where it says save file as. And when we get here, we want to make sure that the type of file that we're saving is an MP3. Do not save it as a WAV file or a Windows Media file, a WMA file. Don't use any of these other things here. You can. It shows you the tremendous capability. You can put it into different types of formats. But the standard format that people use for audio that's very popular is the MP3 file, okay? And it's at this point when you click here that you want to add the extension, put -AUDIO, okay? And so now we're saving it as an MP3 file. It's sermon 01 audio. The old sermon 01 will still be there, and we'll go back and delete it. We just click save, and then it'll bring you to this screen, and we just want to make sure the bit rate stays at 48, which is a setting. Once you set it, it'll always stay there. We always want to make sure it's in stereo. We just hit OK. And then my laptops, it's a little bit older. It's going to go kind of slow. If you have one of the newer laptops with the newer processor, this is going to go a lot faster. But anyway, nonetheless, it'll only take a few seconds, maybe 15 to 30 seconds, depending on the size of the file, and it will allow you to save it. One of the things we want to keep in mind is that a standard CD holds 80 minutes of audio. So if somebody goes more than an hour and 20 minutes, we're going to have to go in and cut out either the beginning or the end, because otherwise it's going to have to go on 2 CDs. This one is 48 minutes and 24 seconds, so it's plenty of space to put on a CD. Again, the CDs that are standard today hold let me see, I believe it's 800 megabytes worth of data, audio data, and it can hold an 80-minute message. Okay, so if they go past an hour and 20 minutes, then it will not fit on a CD. You're going to have to use multiple CDs. Okay, so once we save it, you'll notice across the top now that it says sermon-audio. This is the new name of the file. Okay, and so we've edited this file. Okay, so I can, I'm going to go ahead and exit by hitting that exit. Alright, so you see here, if I click on date modified, it's going to put this sermon audio file across the top. It has sermon 1, sermon 2 that we were working on here. Now, right now, the way I did it during this training session is I did everything on that SD card. But what I want to do is I want to take this audio file and put it into my laptop or my computer. And so I can then just grab this audio file and stick it, for example, into my documents file, or if I have it in my music file, wherever I want to put it, I can just drag and drop it right in there. So I have on my computer an MP3 directory which has all of my courses that I've done over the years. I have a whole section here on Sundays sermons, any classes that I've done, any different conventions that I've taught in or whatever. I have them all broken down so I can easily find them. They're all categorized. Any men's ministry, any classes that I've taught, any special services like funerals or baby dedications or weddings, I can put under special. So it just depends on how you want to organize it. This is the way I have mine organized. And so again, I can just grab it. I can also right click and copy it, and then I can go over to my MP3 file and for example, let's say I wanted to put it under my class on Malachi. Let's just say that that file we were working on was the Malachi class, and so I can just stick it here and then just paste it, and it'll show up here. So you can just hit copy, paste, or if you want to grab it and throw it into one of these directories, or maybe you have a quick access or a favorites set up, and you can just grab the file and throw it into whatever directory you want. Alright, so that is the end of this training session. So once again, this WavePad editor has tremendous capability, and you want to work with all the buttons down here, the zoom in, zoom out here. Under the effects, you want to work with the amplified. Again, as you're just highlighting and deleting things with cut or delete, or using the delete key, and then you just save it as what file name you want it to be with a dash audio extension, and then you can use that file and upload it to the internet for other people to listen to. Okay, so in the next video session, I'm going to show you how to use the WavePad video editor to edit video files. God bless you. Hope this training session was good for you. Thank you.